We're going to go ahead and get started. We have a pretty exciting night tonight. We have a lot of things to talk about, some pretty amazing opportunities that we have for our students to earn college credit. And so for those of you who don't know me, my name is Crystal Dunlap. I am the junior and senior counselor, and we also have some other very important people here in the room, so I'd like to take a minute and just do some introductions. We have Ellie Hess from Marian Technical College. We have Dustin Leck from Tiffin University. Kayla Beilstein and Rebecca Hillman from the University of Findlay. Holly Jacobson from The Ohio State University. Scott George from North Central State. And Mrs. Allison Cheney, our freshman sophomore counselor. Okay, so tonight, here in a few minutes, I will turn it over to Ellie to do just kind of an overview of the College Credit Plus program. And then I will speak when she's finished just about some specifics to Upper Sandusky High School students. Before we get into that, please make sure that each student has a blue intent to participate form. That's very, very important. That's a state form that'll have to be turned in. And then also a white packet, College Credit Plus handbook. Okay, so if you did not get that, please go up to the table by the front door because those are very important. So at this time, I would like to turn it over to Miss Ellie Hess.
Okay, so we're going to go over the state presentation, and I just want to note that if you have questions about this or want to look over it again, it is available on the Ohio Department of Higher Ed website. You can find it under the CCP section of the website. So that is up there all year. You can look at it anytime you would like. So what is College Credit Plus? It's Ohio's dual credit program. You can earn high school and college credit at the same time, and it says you can enroll in college courses and adhere to the requirements of the college. It's available for students in grades 7 through 12. Basically, I was going to say, 7th grade sounds pretty young, but you'll see more of the requirements as we go through this presentation. And then obviously once you graduate from high school, you no longer can participate in CCP, but you can do it in grades 7 through 12. You have to complete an assessment exam to be determined college eligible. You can apply to any public college or participating private college, and this is one of the only times in your life that you can apply to multiple institutions and attend multiple institutions at the same time. So you could be attending Marian Tech and OSUM and North Central all at the same time if you really wanted to. You have to be an Ohio resident. You can take classes in the summer, fall, and spring semesters, and you can take the classes depending on where they're offered from that specific college. You can take them at your high school, at the college campus, or online. You'll want to check with the college that you're interested in to see how they offer their classes and where at. So step number 1, you have to be eligible. College eligibility is basically determined by an assessment exam. And many of you have probably heard of the ACT. There's the AccuPlacer, several different tests that you would take to see if you are college level ready. Every college or university has their own requirements. There is a basic state requirement, but each individual college can make their own requirements of what those scores need to be. They will review your scores, and if you are, if you're college ready automatically, you can be accepted. If you're not college level, there may be other conditions. Say your score is pretty close but not quite there. Sometimes they'll look at your GPA or a recommendation from your school counselor or principal. So the next step would be to apply to the college of your choice. You would want to contact the college to see what the requirements are, and they have the final decision on your admission. And then after you're accepted to the college, you can register for courses. And typically, in the college setting, you would meet with a college advisor to register for courses and make sure that you've met any prerequisites for the classes that you want to take, things like that. So like I said before, they can satisfy both high school graduation requirements and college requirements. For example, you could take English Comp 1, and it would satisfy a high school English as well as a college English course. The first 15 credit hours, though, that you take as a CCP student have to fall under the Level 1 courses, and the state defines what Level 1 courses are. Transferable courses, courses in IT, computer, anatomy, and physiology, foreign language, part of a technical certificate, part of a pathway. Courses that you can't take would be private courses with one-on-one instruction with high fees, study abroad courses, phys ed courses, pass-fail courses, remedial courses, or religious courses. Grades earned in the college course will be the same grade on your high school transcript, and it will also be factored into your high school and college GPA. You can enroll in up to 30 semester credit hours per year. This includes your high school courses. This may seem a little confusing hearing, but there is a way that your school configures how many credit hours you're taking for the year. And like I said, this starts in the summer, so if you want to take summer classes, that would count towards your 30 for the year. The maximum number of credit hours you can take in CCP is 120. That's darn near close to a bachelor's degree. It may even be depending on the institution. An associate's degree is around 60 depending on what the program is. So, what are some differences between high school and college? Well, in college, the tests are going to be a lot different. In high school, you may have tests given weekly or at the end of a chapter. In college, they're generally fewer and they cover a lot more material. Your study time is going to be a little more. You're required in high school, you may study between 1 and 3 hours a day. Who does that? Who studies at least 1 to 3 hours per day? Anybody? See? Not very many. In college, the standard rule is 2 to 3 hours of homework for every hour spent in class. So that's going to be 3 to 5 hours per day. And that is a realistic thing. So that's something you want to consider when thinking about doing the CCP. In high school, you learn a lot of your information in class, and there's very little out-of-class research. But in college, it's going to require a lot more independent thinking, longer writing assignments, and a lot of out-of-class research. You may not have as many grades in college. You may have a couple tests to determine your final grade, whereas in high school you have a lot more assignments. That's why it's really important when you're taking the class to do well on your assignments and to seek help if you need it earlier rather than later. So the role of the parent. In high school, parents are strong advocates working closely with teachers and counselors, but in college, the student, although they may be under 18, are protected by the FERPA policy. And that means that we want the role of the parent to be supportive, but we're going to treat the student like a college student. If the student has an issue, we're going to expect the student to be doing the communicating. A student can sign a FERPA release for us to release information to you, but I will tell you on behalf of my department and the way we do things, and I'm sure many other colleges, we're still going to ask to speak with the student because it's their class, they're responsible, they are a college student, and we want to treat them that way. A lot of times when you're in a college course, your instructor may not even know that you are a high school student or a CCP student. They may not know that unless you tell them, so it's kind of up to you if you want them to know. But you are protected by that FERPA right, so we just want to make sure you know that. Okay, so benefits of participating. You can earn, like I said, high school and college credit at the same time, get a head start on college degrees or certificates, experience college early so that you can understand the expectations. I know a lot of students will take CCP and they figure out, oh, actually, I don't really like microeconomics. Good thing I'm not going to major in that now. And no money costs because CCP is free. So you save on tuition and textbook costs. But there are consequences. If you fail or withdraw from a college course, you may have to reimburse your school for that course, and that can be anywhere from $600 to $1,000 depending on what the course is and the fees that go with it. We do warn you of those things, especially as your advisor. If you were failing a course, I would say, hey, we need to get this grade up, or you may want to consider withdrawing. You would not want to get an F on your transcript because that is going to follow you wherever you go. So sometimes it is better to withdraw than to get an F, but that is a situation where you may have to repay if you do that. Like I said, that grade will follow you permanently. Then you have to worry about if you withdraw too often, it could affect your future financial aid. And if you continue to fail or perform poorly, you can be placed on CCP probation or dismissal. And the dismissal policies and probation policies are different by the college, but if you're enrolled in more than one institution, you would follow the state's probation policy. So, like it says, a student will be placed on CCP probation if he or she earns less than a 2.0 GPA in CCP courses or withdraws from 2 or more courses in an academic term. And while on probation, you can only enroll in one CCP course for one college term, and you may not enroll in the college course in the same subject which you previously did not do well in. And if you do not increase your GPA to above a 2.0, you can be dismissed. And while on dismissal, you may not enroll in any CCP courses. At the end of the dismissal, you could request an appeal. I'm not saying any of this to scare you, it's just a real thing that you need to be aware of. And that is basically saying each school must have a policy describing the process for appeals, and depending on what college you're attending, if you're only attending one college, you would just follow their policy, but if you're attending multiple institutions at the same time, you would follow the state policy. Okay, so what are the expenses? At public colleges or universities, there will be no cost to students for tuition, fees, or books. At a private college, students may be charged a small cost per credit hour, and other optional expenses could be things like parking and transportation. Services. You have your high school counselors provide assistance to you here, and you have a great team, I must say. You have your college advisors, that at each college you would have an advisor assigned to you for your coursework. And then you also are provided the same academic support services. So for example, tutoring services, disability services, counseling services, all of those things you would have the same access to as a general student. So if you're a student athlete, you would want to make sure to confirm with your school to make sure that you're meeting your athletic requirements to participate in sports. It says summer term CCP courses cannot be used to bring the student into that requirement. Where we see a lot of issues with this is if a student fails or drops a class, sometimes they become athletically ineligible. And so those are things that you're going to want to make sure you're tracking if you're playing a sport, that you have enough credit hours to participate in that sport. And then, will the course credits transfer? Certain general education courses will transfer from an Ohio public college to another Ohio public college. Students will need to check with the colleges to confirm the transferability. They have a website you can view here, and then another really good website to look at is transferology.com. So what are the deadlines? I think Mrs. Dunlap told you have a blue form in front of you. That is the letter of intent. You have to complete and return the letter of intent to your school office by April 1st, 2020, if you're even thinking about doing CCP. Now, say you aren't sure if you want to do it. I would go ahead and turn in that form. It doesn't hurt you to turn it in, but if you don't turn it in, then you may not be able to do CCP. So I would go ahead and fill that out and turn that in if I were you, so that you have that taken care of. The next thing you're going to want to do is check with each college and university that you want to apply to look at their admission requirements and make sure you know their dates and deadlines. If you need to take the ACT, you'll want to look for ACT dates that the test will be given. If you're going to take the AccuPlacer, I know at Marion Tech we offer that. You don't have to make an appointment, you can just come in. And then you'll want to make sure you know their testing requirements. If you're thinking of starting classes in the summer, you're going to want to get on that really quickly, because you'll want to get registered for summer classes sooner rather than later. I know at Marion Tech our summer registration is already open, so you'll want to check about that. But if you're wanting to do fall, all of those dates and deadlines will be provided tonight by the others. And then for others, additional CCP resources, you can visit the ohiohighered.org/CCP. That's where you'll find this presentation and lots of other FAQs that you may have questions about. And then at Marion Tech, we have a CCP Google Drive account that's public. There's a public folder for all of you, and if you want to look at it, that's the link. I'll also send that to the high school so that she can share that information with you. But basically, it has all of our admission requirements, just fun information that you may have questions about, our courses that we offer, all that information. And I think that's pretty much it.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, so I would say that is a lot of information to get through. Please know we are taping this entire presentation tonight, and it will go up on our guidance website, so if you ever wanted to refer back to something, you're welcome to do that. Elia will make sure that your presentation goes out too. Okay, for the next thing I'd like you to do is go ahead and pull out that white packet, and I just want to touch a few things that I know I get questions about quite a bit every year from students, so hopefully I will answer some of those for you. The first page of that white packet, there's a couple examples of junior and senior schedules, because you cannot go over the 30 maximum credit hours allowed per year. But the tricky part of that is for those 30 credit hours, they also count your high school classes. So I just wanted to make sure that was clear. So for example, if you look in that example number 1, junior year, and I just put on there, let's say a student is taking Advanced English 11, which is just a regular high school class. They get 1 high school credit for that, 0 college credit for that, and it would equal 3 full-time status credits. So the calculation to put the high school classes into the full-time status kind of denomination, 1 high school credit is equal to 3 of those 30, okay? And then college classes are already in the denomination they need to be in. So if you look down, it looks at college environmental science, you would get 1 high school credit for that, you would get 3 college credits for that, which would equal 3 of your 30, okay? So that's just a typical schedule of someone who wants to maximize the full 30 per year. Not every student will do that. This is just a very ambitious schedule if you wanted to maximize your 30 credit hours. Okay, if you would turn to the back of that page where it talks about CCP opportunities. Option 1, that's referring to classes taught online or on campus. I just wanted to make a couple notes about that. Students taking classes on campus will have to provide their own transportation. If they are taking classes online, they are required to stay at Upper Sandusky High School, but they can request a study hall to work on those online classes. Option 2, if they would like to earn college credit here at the high school, that they can register through me. So if they're doing online or on campus, it goes directly through the college. If they're doing something at the high school, it would go through me. So classes that we are tentatively offering next school year, through the University of Findlay, we have 2 of our teachers who actually teach those classes. So Environment and Society is a 3 college credit hour class taught by Mr. Richardson. And there's a 3 college credit U.S. history class that's taught by Mr. Treadway. So that's during the normal school day, taught by our teachers. Marion Technical College is set to teach, they will send professors to us to teach 4 in the fall and 4 in the spring. So if students are qualified and interested in those, they can choose up to 2 per semester. So fall, we have general psychology, microeconomics, college algebra, and college composition for seniors. Then spring semester, same thing, they can choose up to 2. Human growth and development, macroeconomics, statistics, and English composition 2. Okay. At the bottom, you'll see a little bit about eligibility requirements for CCP. I just put a note in there for University of Findlay and MTC since we offer them here at the high school. We use the same criteria for eligibility. However, sometimes space is limited, so we fill with upperclassmen and highest GPAs first. Okay, if we move on to the next page, I'm not going to go over everything because Ellie covered quite a bit. I just want to reiterate, the cost of CCP. The good news is you typically do not have to pay for anything. So tuition, textbooks, other college-related fees will mostly be covered unless a student would fail or withdraw after deadline. It does happen on occasion, so we just say, hey, keep an eye on your students, make sure they're doing okay in those classes and seek help if they need to. And then grades, I just think that this is kind of common sense, but grades that you get in your college courses will affect your GPA, honor roll, everything here at the high school. Lastly, on the very back of this packet, and I apologize, it's super tiny, but I did share this Google Doc with all of the freshmen, sophomores, and juniors. And this is just an overview of the partners that we typically work with College Credit Plus. It has the eligibility criteria for each institution. It has a link for the application and for more information. If there's any additional forms that are needed, the deadlines are on there, and there's even a link to find what classes are available. So a lot of students will come in and say, hey, Mr. Dunlap, what classes are there online for, the spring? Well, you can go right there and check out the link and see what's available to you. And then just who to contact if you need more information. So that was shared in your Google Drive, so if you ever need to refer back to that, students, it's there. So the next kind of question I get is, okay, now what? So I've come to CCP night, I've been informed, you turn in your letter of intent form. If you want to do that tonight, that's great. Just make sure you read the back and kind of understand all the things that we talked about tonight. But if you want to drop that off, that's step number 1. Step 2 would be to apply. So if you're thinking you want to do some classes here at the high school, then you would need to do a Finley application and or a Marion Tech application. Or if you know, hey, I want to do something somewhere else, maybe through OSU or North Central, you would just have to, again, kind of refer back to your Google Sheet and see where to go for the application. Please know, I am here, Mrs. Cheney is here for any questions throughout this whole process because I know it can be kind of overwhelming. But those are the typical steps that you need to do. I know Ellie touched a little bit on students will need to have a qualifying test score. Juniors automatically will take the ACT come the spring. If you are a sophomore, you will need to take, or freshman, you will need to take the AccuPlacer. We will offer that here in the spring, usually twice, that they can take it with us, or they can go to a college campus and take it for free. Okay? So it's free either place. Or you can sign up for the ACT on your own as well. But you do need the Blue Intent form, do your applications, and get a qualifying test score. Those are the big 3. Okay, so I think we covered that entire packet. What I'd like to do now is turn it over to our college reps. I'm going to have them just give a couple minutes overview, maybe some highlights of their specific program. And then when we're done, we'll kind of, if anyone wants to stay back and ask specific questions, we can do that.
Hey everybody, Scott from North Central State. I won't take long. 2 things I want to cover. One is the Tuition Freedom Scholarship. Come to North Central State, finish 9 credit hours with high enough GPA, and you'll be eligible for up to 64 hours of free tuition after you graduate high school. What a lot of students are doing is transferring out, finishing their general education classes, their science classes, prereqs for a 4-year program. So it's a really good way. Had a student who graduated this past year, went to Ohio Northern, did his financial aid, and after all the financial aid was packaged, he was still going to be owing $30,000 a year. So college is expensive. It's just an option for you, a nice alternative. And the second thing, having made the drive from Mansfield tonight, I am pretty sure no one in this room wants to drive to Mansfield 2 to 3 days a week. Is that a fair assessment? Yes. The good news, we have classes available at our Crawford Success Center as well as online. So if you're interested in taking an online class that's either not offered here or it's just something that you're passionate about or interested in, come by the table, get some information, let me know. Thanks.
Want to pass it right down the line?
Well, I already talked to you guys a lot, and so I just want to tell you about our deadlines. The deadline to apply for fall would be May 1st. So just get your application in and then work on those that testing. But if you get the application in by May 1st, we should be good. And then, like I said, if you want to do summer courses, I would apply by April 1st because we are already in registration, so we want to get you registered for those courses. If you have any questions about any of our pathways or programs, I have information at my table.
All right, so for Ohio State, we only offer classes on campus, so you have to come to campus. The cool thing about that, though, is you have a lot of choices. So there are a lot of different courses you can take. Something, if you want some more variety or something kind of unique, that is an option for you. So we require that students apply by May 1st, and we do require a standardized test score. We would prefer the ACT, but if that's not an option, we will take the AccuPlacer, but you have to schedule that with me. So I can give you some more details about that if you have specific questions. The application will probably open up sometime in January, so it's not open for next fall yet. But if you wanna come in summer, the deadline is February 1st. So there's a couple options there. I have U-Books here. And then if you were interested in getting on the mailing list, you can scan my QR code and we can get you some more info. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Rebecca, I'm from UF. I have a bunch of information up here, so feel free to stop by and grab it. Most of the stuff is on the Google Doc that she shared. Our application is already available, so if you think you're going to want to take that history or environmental science class, feel free to start applying. And we do offer online classes. We actually have quite a few of our kids that are taking online this semester, which is pretty cool. So feel free to stop by and grab some more information.
Hello, I'm Dustin. I'm from Tiffin University. We do have our application process open for the 2020 school year. If you're taking classes at Tiffin, you can take them either at the school or online, and we do provide you guys with the books. If you guys have any questions, feel free to stop by and talk to me.
Okay, so that's it for our program tonight. If you have any questions for any of us, please stick around afterwards and have a good night.